And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you're going to make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time on Spreaker Radio, Blog Talk Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide. I also broadcast on Roar 1776 Radio and Live 365 Radio every Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows. You can also access my show live right from my website each day simply by clicking on that little icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com, and you can call into my show if you want to comment or just engage me in conversation about anything. Just call directly into the studio at area code 909-545-6516. Again, that number is 909-545-6516. On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Today, my expert contributor is John Hanson, that little old wine drinker, talking about food and wine. My special guest is John Kurt, the Wizard of Words. He's talking about the syntax of success. It's great for business. And my co-host today is my grandson, Joey, just back from his vacation in Hawaii. And Joey, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Boy, I got to tell you, this is going to be an exciting show having you here with me. It's been a while since you've been on the radio with me.
It has.
Well, you know what? Let's tell everybody right now that at 4:02 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 91 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 94 degrees, and I can't hardly wait till it gets down to 61 where they say it's going to be, but you know what? We'll see when that time comes. But right now, let's talk about the news, and boy, I'll tell you, there's lots of it in the news here today. First off, diplomats. They're saying that the Iran nuclear agreement is likely by tomorrow. Well, we'll see if that really happens. Diplomats say an Iran nuclear agreement is likely to be agreed upon by Tuesday. 3 diplomats familiar with the talks say that the announcement could come in the pre-dawn hours. And just keep in mind that that's about an 11-hour difference between Iran and where we are right now. One said that some of the top officials involved in the negotiations needed to leave Vienna early Tuesday, thus hastening the announcement. The diplomats weren't authorized to speak publicly on the status of their negotiations and demanded anonymity. Well, of course, you hear that all the time. That's nothing new, right? But at least that's all we ever hear. You know what? Let's talk about, well, you know what, Joy, what do you think about that Iran thing? You've been following that?
A little. I've been following Iran a little. I think that it's important that we reach an agreement. I think it's important that we establish at least a tiny friendship with Iran and try to make amends for our fighting that we've had.
You know what? I don't know if I want to be friends with Iran, but I sure want to be able to control them, and I want to know what they're doing. I don't want them having their button on a nuclear or their finger on a nuclear button without me being able to control it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Okay, also in the news today, Joey, Pentagon is readying a plan to lift a transgender ban. Pentagon leaders are finalizing plans aimed at lifting the ban on transgender individuals in the military with the goal of formally ending one of the last gender or sexuality-based barriers to military service, senior U.S. officials told the Associated Press. An announcement is expected this week, and the services would have 6 months to assess the impact of the change and work out the details. The officials said today that was going to be the case. Military chiefs wanted time to methodically work through the legal, medical, and administrative issues and develop training to ease any transition, and senior leaders believe 6 months would be sufficient. The official said Defense Secretary Ash Carter has asked his Personnel Undersecretary Brad Carson to set up a working group of senior military and civilian leaders to take an objective look at the issue. One senior official said that while the goal is to lift the ban, Carter wants the working group to look at the practical effects, including the costs, and determine whether it would affect readiness or create any unsurmountable problems that could derail the plan. The group would also develop uniform guidelines. Well, you know what? We'll see what happens. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I do believe that we shouldn't have any disparity in any segregation anywhere in the United States. But you know what? I think that we have to be careful that we're not becoming so politically correct that we're hurting the security of the citizens of the United States. And I'm not saying that would hurt it. I'm just starting to think that some of this politically correct stuff is going too far. What do you think, Joe?
I haven't been following the story, so I have no real opinion. This is the
Good.
first I've heard of it.
Good. Okay. Well, how about this one? This is a biggie. Mexico drug lord escape tunnel was too elaborate to miss. Now, this just happened today, so you're probably not even aware of it. The digging would have caused noise. The planners would have needed blueprints and maps. The escape was made from the one place beyond the view of security cameras at Mexico's toughest prison. As authorities hunted today for any sign of Mexico's most powerful drug lord, security experts said it's clear that Joaquin El Chapo Guzman's escape through an elaborately designed tunnel must have involved help on a grand scale. How did Chapo escape? In one word, corruption, wrote Alejandro Hope, Alejandro Hope, was his name, a former member of Mexico's Domestic Intelligence Service, in his blog, El Daily Post. He escaped through a mile-long tunnel wide enough to hold a motorcycle and ending in one of the few blind spots in Mexico's most secure prison. How do you do that without some high-level corruption? U.S. authorities believe the tunnel through which Guzman made his audacious exit Saturday evening, must have been in the works for at least a year, nearly as long as the head of the notorious Sinaloa cartel had been at the Altiplano prison 55 miles west of Mexico City. Boy, you know what? We thought that the two guys that escaped from that New York prison did something. This guy had a big, huge PVC pipe that was burrowed under the ground, and he actually had a motorcycle in there to take him from one end of that tunnel to the other. What an escape that was. Just unbelievable.
I had heard he escaped, but I did not know how.
Isn't it?
I had seen pictures of the tunnel, and
Unbelievable.
I don't even know what to think.
Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Well, here's another biggie in the news, and that is Greece strikes a deal with creditors and avoids the chaotic euro exit. You know what? They had to do this not only for the health of Greece, the financial health of Greece, but they had to do this for the financial stability of the entire European Union. You know, after grueling, often angry negotiations that tested the limits of European unity, Greece struck a preliminary rescue deal with its creditors today that should avert an imminent financial catastrophe, but also guarantees years more hardship and sacrifice for its people. Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras flew home to sell the bailout plan to skeptical lawmakers and political allies, some of whom accused him of selling Greece out. Panos Kaminos, leader of the junior partner in Tsipras's coalition government, denounced the deal as a German-led coup. This deal introduced many new issues. We cannot agree with it, he said after a meeting with Tsipras. You know what? When we come back, we're going to talk some more about the news. We're going to talk about what's next. More twists and turns are ahead for Greece. But right now, you know, one of the big issues about Greece is that, did you know that 89% of the Greek citizens are not even paying their taxes, and the government of Greece is doing nothing to collect it? You know, it's no wonder that their economy is falling apart. They've got nothing to run the government with. Now, don't go away. When we come back, we'll talk some more about Greece after these brief messages. We'll be right back. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. You know what? And I'm here with my co-host, my grandson, Joey. Joey, how you doing so far?
Well, I'm doing great.
How am I doing so far?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, you know what? Let's get right back into the news, and boy, I'll tell you, there is lots of it. And so let's get it going here. You know what's next up? Well, there's more twists and turns ahead for Greece. Greece's bailout their deal isn't a deal yet. It only becomes one if Greece meets tough conditions, like quickly passing a slew of far-fetching economic reforms, cuts, and privatizations. After the Greek government dismayed creditors by repealing some economic measures and dragging its feet in negotiations, key leaders states led by Germany took a hard line: reforms first, money afterward. Whether the deal will then steer the Greek economy back to health and help it lower its debt remains uncertain. Doubts and concerns, in our view, outweigh optimism and euphoria, wrote Karsten Brzezinski, chief economist at Ing DIBA in Frankfurt. It starts with a fact that there actually is no deal yet. It's a declaration of intent. He recommended that the champagne bottles should still remain in the fridge for a while. Here's a look at Greece's situation and what's the next step for Greece. Under the deal struck by creditors during an all-night meeting in Brussels, the Greek parliament must approve by Wednesday key reforms that include VAT, that's value-added tax, that's a VAT tax increases, and pension cuts, and safeguarding the full independence of Greece's statistics service, which at the start of the crisis in 2009 was found to have woefully misstated the country's finances for years. More reforms have to be passed by July the 20th, including a new civil code that should streamline legal proceedings and lower business costs. Well, Greece is in trouble. Do you understand the trouble that they're really in here, Joe?
Well, I understand that it's going to not only hurt Greece's economy, but it's going to hurt all of Europe.
Yeah, there are 19 Eurozones in Europe, and every zone is a country, actually. And Greece is one of them, and they're having financial problems. And the biggest reason they're having financial problems is that they're just not balancing their budget. They're not balancing the checkbook. And 89% of the funds that should come in from taxing their residents, they're not collecting. So they haven't got they're writing checks that they can't cash. So they haven't got the money. Now, what happens if Greece then goes bankrupt and falls out of the Eurozone? It creates a tremendous economic pressure on the remaining 18 Eurozone states, right, or countries. And not only that, but Greece will default on their billions of dollars worth of loan, and part of what's going on here is a lot of their debt's going to be forgiven to try and make them economically healthy again. But right behind them is Spain and Portugal and Ireland and Italy. They're all having trouble. And if the European nations don't step in to help Greece, then the euro is going to be gone altogether. And that's kind of what's going on here. And if that happens, it'll have an effect on worldwide economies, and we'll be having more problems here in the United States. And, of course, then we'll be looking at China as well. If Greece gets a deal, then all we're going to be talking about is China for a while. So that's kind of what's happening here.
The Greek economy issue, I think that the whole world really needs to work together to fix it. And right now, I think that the European Union is actually taking a big step by giving them 86 billion euros in bailout loans.
Absolutely, and here's they're going to give them 86 billion euros in bailout loans, and that's about $100 billion in U.S. dollars. But the thing is that they're going to forgive 33 billion of it right off the top. So they're going to can you imagine? But the thing is that if the world doesn't get around to helping Greece, then the world economy is going to have a real problem. Anyway, let's talk about this. Came in just 60 minutes ago. The son of the Boston police captain is charged in a terror bomb plot. The son of a Boston police captain has been arrested in an FBI sting and accused of plotting to commit terrorist acts in support of the Islamic State group, including the setting off of a pressure cooker bombs at an unidentified university and the slaughter of students live online. Alexander Karoukolos' own father alerted authorities last fall that the younger man had a long history of mental illness and was talking about joining the Islamic State, according to two law enforcement officials who spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to release details. You know what? The guy's 23 years old. Where do they get these thoughts of just blowing up people and hurting people? I don't understand. Documents now coming out. U.S. agents knew of El Chapo's escape plots in 2014, last year. What the heck? The weekend disappearance of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman from a maximum security prison should have come as little surprise to Mexican authorities. The Drug Enforcement Administration had alerted them 16 months ago about several plans to escape. Mexico's most notorious drug trafficker began plotting to break out almost immediately after his recapture at the seaside resort in February of 2014. Internal DEA documents obtained by the Associated Press revealed the drug agents first got information in March of 2014 that various Guzman family members and drug world associates were considering potential operations to free Guzman. You know what? What did they think was going to happen? The most powerful drug lord in the world? Somebody wasn't going to try and get him out of there?
It was almost inevitable. It was more of how good is the security in the prison to keep people from getting him out of there, and apparently it wasn't good enough.
Absolutely, boy, you hit the nail right on the head, Joe. We'll see what happens. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the IRS loses. First one up is a split that the IRS had. We're going to talk about a tax protester escapes tax for 1 year and is penalized for others. So do not go away. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And, you know, for some reason, my microphone has, or my headphones, there we go. Something had happened to my headphones. Anyway, I'm Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. I'm sorry for a little dead air. I actually you didn't have dead air. I did. For some reason, my headphones got disconnected and I couldn't hear anything. But you know what? Let's get on with the show and let's get to my favorite part of it.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
All right, here we are. My favorite part of the show, the IRS loses, sends chills up and down my spine, which is a good thing if you think about it, because right now it's 91 degrees outside. Chills up and down my spine are a good thing. I'm here with my special co-host today, my grandson, Joey. Joey, how are we doing so far, other than a few technical blurbs here?
I think we're doing great so far.
All right, then let's keep it going. My first tax case up is the one that the IRS split on. A tax practitioner, a protester actually, escapes tax for 1 year and is penalized for other years. An individual didn't file returns for 4 years, including the year 2000, when the IRS assessed tax and moved to levy against him. He went to the IRS Office of Appeals. However, he made only frivolous arguments questioning the IRS's authority, so appeals upheld the levy. He then went to court. This is what the judge said. The appeals officer's report said that she was unable to verify the deficiency notice that had been sent to the taxpayer for that year 2000. The notice was a requirement for the IRS to collect tax, so it can't collect the tax for that year. But it can collect tax for the other years, and the taxpayers penalized $6,000 for making those frivolous arguments. Now, normally I wouldn't actually give you a case like that, but I thought it was important that you understand that while I try to castigate the IRS as often as I can, there are times you've got to be reasonable. You have to be logical. You can't go out with a frivolous argument and think that the IRS isn't going to retaliate and go after you. And that's why we went ahead and talked about that. Now, let's talk about the IRS losers. Military retiree wins a refund. Robert Vircher retired from the military and drew retirement pay. He then applied for tax-free disability benefits and received them retroactively. He wasn't entitled to receive both for the same period, so some disability benefits were withheld to reimburse the retirement system. But the Veterans Administration, the VA, withheld an amount to repay Vircher's gross retirement pay, not the after-tax amount that he received. He said that taking this reimbursement from tax-free disability benefits caused his taxes to be overpaid, so he sued the IRS and the VA for a refund. This is what the judge said. They found for Vircher, using tax-free funds to repay a taxable amount caused him a loss that he is entitled to be having refunded to him, and that was so ordered. And you know what? You got to love that kind of stuff. Now, here's one that most women or most husbands are going to appreciate, and you might even get a little chuckle out of it. The IRS lost the case, but a husband escapes tax on his wife's embezzlement. A wife stole $40,000 from her employer without her husband knowing. When the theft was discovered, her lawyer told her to report it as income to minimize the penalties. But the IRS bars a couple who have signed a joint return from switching to separate returns, so her husband had to file an amended joint return with her. He later said he shouldn't be liable for the tax due to the money that she stole, but the IRS said that he didn't qualify for innocent spouse relief because he voluntarily signed the return, knowing the tax was due. This is what the judge said. This general rule poorly fits the facts of the case. Equity requires that the husband be granted relief, and he is not going to find himself in a case like that where he's going to be liable for it. Now, Joe, we've got 3 minutes before we go on a break here, and then when we come back, we're going to be with our own Wizard of Words, John Kurth. He's going to talk about the syntax of success and scripting in business for success. But you just got back from Hawaii, and I want to talk about that for a little bit. And you did a couple of really neat things, the first of which was you actually swam with dolphins.
Yeah, I swam with dolphins on my birthday, which is
the 4th of July.
Yes, it's the 4th of July. And we, at 11 o'clock Hawaii time, we swam with the dolphins. And at this little, it was a big hotel, but it was a little section of the hotel that they had like 7 or 8 dolphins.
Like a lagoon?
Yeah, it was actually fed by the ocean.
Oh, that's cool. Were you afraid?
No, I was not afraid at all. We were all given life jackets and masks, and we got to touch the dolphins. We got to look at them underwater, watch them do flips and tricks and all this kind of stuff. It was a great birthday.
And then you're 12 years old. Your brother Johnny is 7, right?
Yes.
Did he go in there too?
Yeah, he went in there too, and he absolutely loved it.
And then you did something else. And this is what, the 3rd time you've done this now?
Third time scuba diving.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So you went scuba diving, 12 years old. You went with an instructor and 2 other people. And
one other person.
Oh, one other person. Okay, so it was 3 of you all together.
Yeah, 3 of us all together.
Okay, and how was that? Was this as much fun as the first time you went, or maybe not quite as much?
It was just as fun, if not more fun. The water was clear, and it was a lot more animals. We went to a coral reef, so we got to see eels, urchins, fish.
Everything. And did you go out for a nice fish dinner that night?
Actually, yes. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I saw a picture of your birthday dinner. You had steak and lobster for dinner.
Yeah, I did. It was a wonderful meal.
Okay, do not go away. When we come back, we're going to be with our own Wizard of Words, Mr. John Kurth, for the Syntax of Success. We'll be right back. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:33 p.m. Pacific Time. It's currently 91 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire, on its way to 60 degrees in sunny Southern California. I'm here with my co-host, my grandson, Joey. And Joey, we've got the most interesting man coming up next. I refer to him as the Wizard of Words, Mr. John Kurth. So, you know what, let's get him in here and see what John's got to say for today.
And now, it's time for our Wizard of Words, John Kurth, president and founder of Syntactic Sales Scripting. He helps business owners, sales managers, and individual salespeople create winning sales scripts that win more customers. John has more than 12 years of combined international sales experience in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and the United States. Here now is our own John Kurth, the Wizard of Words, helping you obtain scripting success beyond your greatest expectations.
Hey, John, welcome aboard. You know what? I look forward to you coming on every week, and especially this week. I want to introduce you to my grandson, Joey. He's sitting right next to me, and I was telling him what you do. He says, the Wizard of Words, what does that mean? And I thought, you know what? No better person to explain that than my good buddy, John Kurth.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Joey. We're talking today about the power of your language and the power of your language to affect change and to get the results you're looking for in business and in life. Joey, you share with us a very powerful story about how you swam with dolphins and they're very engaging. So today we're going to talk about how to use stories effectively, because the more effective you get at your stories, the more effective you're going to be in selling. So you want to have a large story library. We're going to get deeper into that. And really, stories equal money. Metaphors equal money when you're selling. So today we're going to talk about how to structure your customer success stories. How to structure customer success stories. Now, why do we want to do this? Because when you're telling a story, there's a story at the conscious level, and there's a story at the subconscious level. So you want to make sure you address both. So there are 4 parts to structuring a customer success story. The first, part 1, is the history and the situation. 2 are the options. 3, what was the evaluation process? And part 4, the decision reasons and results. So I'm going to go through each part. So how do we focus on the history and situation? Well, at the conscious level, we're describing the business problem or a condition that the customer was trying to solve or improve upon the situation. So that's the conscious message. What was the business problem or what was the condition that the customer was trying to solve? Then, and it's important here, is the more descriptive your language is, the better. Because when Joey was talking about how cool the water felt and seeing the dolphins doing tricks, the more language you have, the more evocative it is, the more powerful your stories become. So you want to look at your stories also on the individual word choice. Now, on a selling story, at the subconscious level, we're looking at the subconscious connection. The thing is, we want to identify the people in the selection process. So, first name, title, and background. Why do you want to do it? Because you want your audience to identify with the person in the story at a very subconscious level. We talked about people recognize similarities consciously. He's taller than I am. He's shorter than I am. On a subconscious level, we recognize similarities. So the closer the match your story is to the person you're talking to, the more it's going to reach them on a subconscious level. Also, your examples, you want to have happy customers. This almost goes without saying, but you want happy customers in your story because you want the person to identify with somebody who's happy and successful. So you want to make sure. Now, here's one thing that's so important about any type of story. You control the state, you control the content, and you control the emotion. Because you decide which story you're using and what emotion you want to evoke with that. Just using Joey's great story was a lot of fun. It was excitement. It was joyous. All those emotions came through the story. So just using an example on that. So what you're doing here with your selling stories, make sure there's positive emotion. Make sure there's enough ways for them to identify at a subconscious level, which is really the connection with the person in the story. Also the conscious level as well. So that's part 1, the history and the situation. Part 2 of a story, or the structure of a selling story, is presenting the options. See, there's a distinction between choices and options. You give people too many choices, they shut down. You give them options, things that could best serve them, they're more likely to take action. Because you give too many people too many choices, it's too much. So people are looking for options. So why do you want to do this? Because when you give them, people, when you're in a selling situation, are really looking for guidance. They want to make a good decision. They want to make it with confidence. And if you give them just too many choices, you could do this, you could do this, you could do that, it's going to be too much and they're going to shut down. But really, when we're talking about options here, we're looking for recommendations. That's how they want to feel. So on the conscious message, part 2, The conscious message under the options is describe the different products or methods that could have solved the problem or improved the customer's situation. In this case, you're not going to name competitors by name. You can be a little vague on this. So you want to say, here are some of the options. Here are some of the ways they could have solved this particular problem or situation, or made it better, improved upon it. So that's the conscious message. The subconscious message is you're explaining the impact of these circumstances on the decision maker's job, their career, or their emotional state of being. Really what you're doing here at the subconscious level, you're introducing both fear of loss and hope for the future, which is gain. Because you're explaining here were the circumstances. Bob Jones had to make this decision on which IT program to implement. And he was having difficulties. Which one should I focus on? Because he knew there was a lot riding on it. See, when you're saying he knew there was a lot riding on it, that's a vague language. But what is a person going to do? They're going to project what a lot riding on it means to them. Maybe potentially their career or promotion or greater visibility in the company. So remember, at your subconscious connection, you're explaining the impact of these circumstances would have on the decision makers, their job or their emotional state of being. Because it's okay to get them connected with that fear of loss. It's perfectly all right. Because you are guiding them out of that place of, oh, I'm not feeling so good. Oh, I'm worried about my job. They're not going to say it overtly, but that's the state, that's the emotion you're deliberately connecting them to here. But then you're going to guide them through the next steps, which is going to help them make a good buying decision. So there's a distinction between choices versus options. So in that case, we said there was a lot riding on the line. That is a artfully vague language scripting technique. All the scripting techniques I've shared with you before apply here on your stories. But we're looking at the right structure of a customer success story. So number one was the history and the situation. Now, another thing about these stories, they're short. We're not talking a novel here. So get just enough about the history of the situation to evoke that feeling, both consciously and subconsciously. Then get them a sense first of all the choices out there, but then we're getting it narrowed down to the options. What are the options available to them? And then we're going to get into the specific wording, the specific language, so it becomes even more real to them. Stories are all about relevance, and that's what we're doing here. So when you bring in the person's first name, their title, their job position, their type of company, it makes it all that more real to the person who is hearing in the story. Now you may ask yourself, well, what if there aren't a lot of options? What if there aren't many good options? Still, use the best ones that you have available. You can use some of those choices there. Well, they could have done this, they could have done that, kind of as straw men, or kind of them as like, well, they wouldn't want to do that, but here were ones they really considered. So even if you don't have a lot of options to give them with your product or service, you can still bring out those multitude of choices, but then slow it down for emphasis on the options that they could have used to solve the problem. And then we're going to get even deeper into some of the other parts of it. Because you're going to want to look at, and as you get halfway through this, you're going to look at what are the stories in your library. Whatever stories you have, use them. But you want to construct them using these four parts. What's the history of the situation? What's the options? Then the evaluation process, and the decision reasons, and the ultimate results. So when you have that, you can then construct each one of your stories using this framework. And then when you need to drop in a story, you've got it in the right order and sequence. You have the right components of it with which to do that. Furthermore, we're going to then get, your language has to be evocative. You can have a very quick story that's going to get them exactly where you want them to go. That positive language, the evocative language that you're using, can get them very quickly into the right emotional state that you're looking for. But you start with the emotional state first. What do you want first? Then find the story that fits it. Many people make the mistake. They say, well, I've got this great story. How can I put it into my presentation? Well, that's backwards. Here's the story. Here's the power of it. Here's the emotional state I can pull out from it. And then I will pull it in. And then I can use it effectively. Robert, Joey, any questions?
You know what? You're on a roll, but you're not used to the extra time, are you, John?
Oh, I've got plenty of time. So, yes, I've got other things after the break, but I want to make sure. So, Joey or Robert, do you have any questions on the first two segments?
Well, you know what? First of all, I love the idea of telling a story. You know, in my career, John, I used to do that all the time. I found that the most comfortable way to win somebody over and to get them to relax, instead of making the pitch that they really knew was a pitch, just tell them a story, and the story actually was the pitch, and it just made sales so much easier for me.
Yeah, if you want to get good at selling, get better at telling stories. Make a point, tell another story. Make another point, tell another story. If they remember your stories, they'll remember your points.
Boy, that's absolutely the truth. That is absolutely the truth. And you know what? I think that's probably one of the areas where I suppose it's the cause of a lot of my success when I was with the Revlon Corporation, was that because I had traveled so much and dealt with so many different people, I had a million stories that I wanted to tell, or I could tell, that would actually relate to the circumstances I was in with a particular buyer or officer of the company. Always worked, John, always worked.
Good. So if you want to learn about your stories, you can give me a call at 949-391-3876. That's 949-391-3876. And after the break, we'll focus on the other two parts of constructing stories.
And we'll
Robert,
be right
Joey,
back
over
with
to
our
you.
own John Kurth, that Wizard of Words, after these brief messages. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve.
Call today. Don't delay a great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own Wizard of Words, Mr. John Kurth. Hey, John, you got the microphone.
Thanks, Robert. Glad to be back on the call. So previously, we mentioned about the 4 parts of structuring customer success stories. Part 1 was the history and the situation. Part 2 was options. Now we're getting to part 3, which is the evaluation process. Part 3 of the story is the evaluation process. So why do you even need to describe the evaluation process? For 2 reasons. 1, you want to make it closer to alignment to their buyer fingerprint, and also to pre-frame or determine the decision-making criteria. Let me explain each in turn. The buyer fingerprint. Everybody buys things in patterns. Some people need a lot of, it's just like your thumb fingerprint. Someone buys maybe they need to do a lot of research first, then they go online, and then they finally go to the factory showroom and then buy. That's their buyer fingerprint. Everyone has this. So one of the key questions you're going to want to ask earlier on in the conversation to make your stories even more effective is, please share with me how you made that type of decision in the past. Sometimes there's a husband and a wife buying a home, and the realtor shows both husband and wife the homes. But if she would have asked, the realtor would have asked the husband and wife, how did you go about buying your last home? The husband said, well, it's so important that my wife to be happy, so you can show her for the most part, and then I'll take a look at the end. Well, that's very, very important information for the realtor, because now the realtor knows she can spend more of her energy as far as showing homes and whatnot to the wife here, and then later on the husband gets brought in. That's called the buyer fingerprint. That information is extremely powerful. So if you can find out this information early on in your presentation, whether you're talking to just one person who's going to make the decision or a team, when you can determine what the buyer fingerprint is, then you can use that information regarding your story where we're talking about the evaluation process. Another term I need to define is pre-framing. Is you let them know in advance what's coming, but you can also help guide their decision-making criteria. Ideally, you want to channel and focus the customer's buying criteria to what you do or you do best. Say, for example, your company has more than 5 years of experience in the industry. Well, then you could say as part of channeling the decision-making criteria, that they chose a company with at least 5 years of experience. Well, if there's competitors who have less than 5 years of experience, now they're knocked out of that because they don't meet the buying criteria. So under the evaluation process, so you want to focus on the buyer fingerprint, find it out early enough, and help set the buying criteria. Now, we're going to get even deeper here. On the conscious message, again, you're outlining the process. The customer took what were the steps they determined to determine the best solution. So you're outlining, here's the process they went through to determine the best solution. This person or decision-making team in your story. But now that you know the buyer fingerprint, when you're covering the outline the process that other customer took to make a buying decision, you're going to emphasize those key areas that are in close alignment with this particular customer's buyer fingerprint. So that's at the conscious level. That's your conscious message. Then on the subconscious connection, here's what we're looking for. At the subconscious connection, we're describing the personality, the preferences, and motivations of the person making the decision. If it's a team, you want to describe the personality, the preferences, and the motivations of the evaluation team members, because now they're also going to resonate with this. See, it's all about that deep, both conscious and subconscious connection. So you might be asking yourself, regarding the evaluation process, what if you don't have a close match of the evaluation process? What do you do? As close as an approximation will do. And since you know, because you found out their buyer fingerprint, you're going to emphasize linguistically with your tone the things that they did, that the other group did in making their decision process, because now it's going to resonate. But close enough is good enough. And if you need to be a little vague on your language there, that's fine too. So step 3, you're going through the evaluation process. But here's another reason why this story is so powerful when we add this evaluation process. The client you're talking to gets to experience in advance what it was like to make a good buying decision that ultimately was with your product or service. So when you're doing that, you're letting them know they're experiencing in advance vicariously through this story what it was like to go through the process to make a good buying decision. Well, now when they're doing it for real, it doesn't feel new to them before. Well, they've already experienced it in the story. In this part 3 of the story, the evaluation process. Then we're getting into part 4 of how to structure your success story. And part 4 is the decision reason and the results. So why do you need to describe the decision reason and results? Remember, we're guiding them to make a buying decision, which is ultimately your product or service. So with that guiding them, because people secretly want to make a good decision. They do. So when you're guiding them to make that buying decision, that's why you need to focus on the reason and results. Don't leave it to chance. Don't let them project what that could be. So on the decision, reason, and results, the conscious message here is describe the final selection and the impact on the decision maker or their company. Remember, we're talking about impact. What was the impact of this decision? See, ideally, you want to include both decision maker and the company if possible. This makes the decision and it makes the story even more relevant. The more relevant the story is to their situation, the more it's going to be accepted almost without question. That's why everything we're talking about is making your stories powerful, relevant. Are there conscious similarities and subconscious similarities? The more relevant we make it is to them, the easier it is going to make for them to make that decision, which is ultimately to choose yours. And we're leveraging the power of the structure of the story. By this point, they're even deeper into just listening and accepting, almost without question, what you're doing and what you're saying. All right, now on the subconscious connection, we're translating the outcome into personal terms. We're translating the outcome of this decision into personal terms first. The feeling is this is going to be a career-enhancing move. they make this decision, their career is going to grow, their reputation is going to grow, they're going to be better off. This is hope for the future, hope of gain. Now, here's another important point about the reason and the results. Now, let's get deeper on that. The reasons and the results, tangible and intangible benefits. But with that, by Company A implemented our solution, they were able to increase revenues by 10% while reducing costs by 5%. See now, wow, they can start projecting into it. Wow, that's very powerful. Here are some of the results of that good decision, which was to buy the product or service. This is all about reassuring them that in advance that working with you is going to be a good decision. Now, what's important is also on the stories. The stories are tools for proving that you and your company are the authority on solving the customer's problems. Again, you can't have enough stories, but story after story provides the proof that your company is the authority on solving the customer's problems. Now, this works even if you're up against a larger competitor, maybe has a better brand name, that is better well-known in the marketplace. Your stories, because they're the most relevant to that customer situation, you've crafted them that way, thus you are the most credible to that decision maker. And we've outlined some of the reasons and some of the results. So now you have that instant credibility. So even if you're going up against a larger player in the industry, by using your stories, you're going to be the logical choice. And remember, we want to link it to a career-enhancing move. This was years ago in the late 80s. The IT managers would say, in essence, you couldn't get fired for hiring IBM. You can get fired for choosing IBM, because even if it didn't work out, well, it's IBM. See, this was a situation where they defaulted because the competitor did not do a good enough job explaining all the value and making it relevant to that particular IT manager. So you want to look through the entire process. So look at your story library that you have and make sure each story, it's a success story, follows the 4 steps. Make sure there's the history and situation. What were the options? What was the evaluation process? And what were the decision reasons and the results of making that decision? Go through that. Not every story is going to have that, but some of them will. And the more that you have that, the more effective you're going to be selling with them. Stories are your most powerful tool in selling because it allows you to combine all the scripting techniques. And when people hear a story, they relax. They start accepting things almost without question, because we all read stories too when we were kids. So let me share with you a story. Oh, he's just sharing with me a story. But when your story focuses on these 4 categories, your success story follows this structure, you're going to be even more effective. And also with this, if you're new, you say, well, what if I don't have a lot of stories? If you're brand new to your industry, take an experienced salesperson out for lunch and just have them share with you their stories. Take a digital recorder, record them down. Now you have, not only do you record them down, but now you can then take those stories, make them your own, and put the right structure into them, because then you're going to be even more effective. Robert, any questions?
Nope. You know what? You thoroughly got it there. You know, this has actually been a fascinating segment for me because, you know what, my real belief in sales. I mean, you can sell anything you want to sell, and for it not to come off as it just being this salesman is trying to get into my pocket, this salesman trying to do this or trying to do that. When you actually can create a relationship through these stories that actually sell your product for you, that's the best of all worlds.
Yes, it is. So for listeners who'd like to learn a little more about how to improve your stories, you can give me a call for a complimentary consultation at 949-391-3876. 949-391-3876.
Hey,
Robert,
John,
back
thank
to you.
Oh, thank you so much, John. It was really great. I appreciate it. Look forward to hearing what you have for us next week.
All right, thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:08 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 91 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, I'm here with my co-host, my grandson, Joey. Joey, how are we doing so far?
We're doing great, as usual.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, this next segment's going to be really exciting, and you know, we got a lot of things to talk about. One of my best friends in the world is coming up, so let's bring him in here, okay? Oh, that would be next to you, by the way. Okay? Let's get him in here.
Yes, who's a fool in the corner crying? I say, a little old wine drinker me.
And now, from the middle of a vineyard somewhere, a man who's never met a grape he couldn't cuddle up to, our resident advanced sommelier, John Hansen.
Hey, John, welcome aboard. How you doing, good buddy?
Hey, Bob. Hey, Joey. How you doing, too?
Great, how are you?
Good. The last time I saw you, of course, we had that little party for your grandma and grandpa, and I can't believe how big you got. I got to see you more often, my friend. You're growing leaps and bounds, I tell you.
Well, thank you.
Well, you know, one of the things we did yesterday, yesterday was Joey's dad's birthday, and on his birthday, he decided that he was going to take Joey and I to the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles. And so we spent about 3 hours going through the Museum of Tolerance. And then afterward, there's a great deli that's just about 2 or 3 blocks from there. You've heard of it, I'm sure. Factors on Pico?
Sure.
Well, that's where we went for lunch, and we went to Factors on Pico, and we all had a half a sandwich, was about the size of a truckload of meat on those half sandwiches, and we had a matzo ball soup with the noodles and the chicken and the whole 9 yards. And I was thinking, well, we ought to have some wine, but you know what? You've ruined me, John. I just couldn't bring myself to order some Mogan David.
Bob, I kind of had the same experience on Sunday. We went to the Met-Dodger game. I'm a big Met fan. And, of course, the Mets destroyed the Dodgers, by the way. But, we went with 2 Dodger fans, and they had to get out about the 7th inning because they just couldn't take it anymore. And we went to another, old school. They've been there for 40-some years, Philippe's, in downtown L.A., and, there's always a line. It doesn't matter what time you go, what time of day, what day it is. There's a line out the door for Philippe's. And believe it or not, they have silver oak by the glass for
really?
$16 a glass.
Oh, whoa. Honest to God.
They had oak bill, silver oak, if you want 2 incredible calves, for about $16 a glass.
Oh, 16. I thought you said 60.
No, 16. 16.
I just about fell off my chair here, John. Are you kidding me? I love silver oak, but $60 a glass?
No, 16. But we sell silver oak for $40 a glass at the restaurant. But for $16, you can actually get a glass at Philippe's in downtown LA. As I said, they're an icon down there. You have, the pantry for breakfast, Philippe's for lunch, or a lighter dinner or so. I mean, they've been there for ages, and there's always a line, but you got to experience it if you never experienced it.
So you're saying you went to the pantry for breakfast, Philippe's for lunch, and you went to Patina for dinner, huh?
Well, that would have been nice, but no.
So listen, John.
We kind of opened Pandora's box.
So here's the thing. Are you, because I know you're from New York, were you really rooting for the Mets?
Oh, yes. I'm a diehard Met fan. I believe. Oh, yeah. Man. Anybody knows me. I'm good friends with Tommy Lasorda. I've taken care of Tommy for years. I mean, I go down and sit in Tommy's seats once in a while, and I tell you, the thing is, his best friend was Bobby Valentine, who was the manager for the Mets for some time. His godson is Mike Piazza, who, of course, played for the Dodgers and the Mets. So Tommy lets me go with the Mets. He goes, okay, if you're not a Dodger fan, if you're a Mets fan, I still like you. That's Tommy's philosophy. That's it. Because it's still Dodger blue, and supposedly I guess I bleed Dodger blue too still. So it's okay in Tommy's book, so we're good.
It should be. Sounds like you had a great day, though.
As I said, the Mets destroyed them, and being a Mets fan could be tough. Actually, it's been tough for a long time, but they're looking good this year, and next year even more promising. So I can't wait for next year once their top prospect, Wheeler, is going to come back. He had Tommy John surgery beginning of the year, so next year with all those young, incredible pitchers, they're going to have the best pitching staff in baseball. So they just need a couple more bats, and they're going to win the World Series.
Well, I heard that, but listen, I got some great news. I got an email today from a friend of ours. And I'm pretty certain you got it too.
Got the same. Yes, she has a couple events coming up, and we need to definitely go to a couple of them.
Yeah, I think so. October 3rd is the official release in celebration for the 2012 Terra Roja.
Well, we're definitely going to be there.
Yeah, so I'm thinking we need to get up there, maybe with our better halves, and maybe do a live show, because the 3rd is a Saturday. Maybe she'd like to do a live show from her winery on Friday.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah, okay, then let's plan on it. You and I'll talk. Matter of fact, you and I'll have lunch together next Monday if you're available, and we'll set that whole thing in motion.
Are we going to our regular spot?
Yeah. Yeah. Why would we go anywhere else?
Well, I tell you, the last Tuesday, the 7th, was our anniversary. Of course, 7 years from that date, we were together in Bordeaux, France, in the middle of a vineyard, and you were, gracious enough to be there with, all of the. I mean, it was just an unbelievable event going on, and thanks to you and Fabrice and his mom and dad, it's a marriage made in heaven. It was just incredible. But for our anniversary, of course, we went down to the White House. And
did you?
Franco did a special menu for us. He started off with the calamari, and they went out and bought foie gras just for us. And they did a foie gras course as well, and then the filet with the gorgonzola cheese, and of course the Grand Marnier soufflés at the end. And I kind of surprised Raina because I know her favorite dish by far is foie gras. Every place we go, when we went to Aruba, she found a restaurant that had foie gras. We had to eat there almost every other night. So it was a great, and of course Franco sat down and had some wine with us, and it was just an incredible evening.
Well, that sounds really, really wonderful.
Oh, yes. But, Bob, our last segment, we kind of opened Pandora's box. We started doing the grid from the Quartermaster Sommelier. Mm-hmm. And I highly recommend that go online, go to the Quartermaster Sommelier. You can actually pull up the grid. And I don't know if you've ever been in an experience with an advanced or master where you're tasting wine, and they'll tell you exactly what it is. And how they do that is basically through this grid. And last week, we started off with the site, and that's what we ended with, because we can probably spend a segment on each item, on each category. Mm-hmm. But just to summarize, on the site, and I like to think of, when you're looking at a wine, it's a big funnel. Basically, it's a process of elimination. You start off, and you look at the wine. The first thing in sight, and that's why I think it's so important, you look at the wine, if it's white or red, you just lead at half the wines in the world. So, I mean, that's why, one of the reasons why it's so important. But the first thing you also look at is the clarity of the wine. Is it clear? Is it slightly clear? Is it cloudy? That gives you indications of if it's filtered or not, or where you're going in the world. The brightness, very important as well. Is it dull? Is it hazy bright? Is it day bright? Is it star bright? That also tells you where it's from. Is it a cool climate, warm climate? Has it been filtered as well? Now, on the color for reds, is it purple, ruby, garnet, yellow, brown? That's a determination of where it's from, and also the age of the wine. And down the line, we're also going to look at the rim variation. That's also going to tell you age. But like garnet wines, when a red wine turns older, it turns more garnet brown. Now, Nebbiolo is garnet, so you got to look at the rim variation as well. But the next thing you look at is the concentration. Is it low, medium, high? And that's also going to tell, is it a hot climate, moderate climate, cool climate? And that's going to tell you also how much kind of is going to be higher alcohol, lower alcohol as well. Get to the rim variation, okay? The color of the rim also means something, but also the how big is the rim variation. If it's a bigger rim variation, it means the wine is older. If you got that white meniscus, a clear meniscus around the rim, that's going to tell you it's higher alcohol, okay? You also want to see if there's any gas evidence or particles or sediment. That's also going to determine what kind of wine, how old it is, and so forth. And then, of course, you got the viscosity. And when we mean viscosity, when you swirl a wine around, you look at the legs. Is it thick? Is it thin? Is there color in the legs? Is it concatenating around the glass? That's going to tell you your climate. Is it warm, medium, hot climate? Okay, it's going to and it kind of determines how much alcohol is in the wine too, because the warmer the climate, the higher the alcohol, of course. But let's quickly start off on the nose, because I know we're getting short on this segment, but the nose is also very important. And the first thing you want to do on the nose is determine if there's any flaws in the wine. Is it corked, where you get that like wet vapor or so? Is there vital acid, if it smells like nail polish remover? Is there bread, like if the hay smell on the wine? Or if it's oxidized or matterized? It all tells you if the wine is gloss. But when we come back, we're going to get into the nose and the palate, and then we'll finalize with the initial conclusion and with the final conclusion.
And the final conclusion is probably the wine pick of the week, right?
Yes, we're going to do that.
We'll be right back with that little old wine drinker, John Hanson, right after these brief messages. Oh, we'll be back with my grandson, Joey, too, right after these brief messages. Right, Joe?
Absolutely.
I hope so.
I hope so, too. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay a great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. I'm here with my co-host, my grandson, Joey. And you know what? We've got John Hanson, a little old wine drinker, and we're getting an education in wine. You know, the kind of education you would get if you actually took a sommelier course. And you know what? This is so interesting, John, especially when you talk about, you know, if you can identify the white from the red, you've already beat about 50% of it, right? And then you get down into the little nuances, which it takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of experience to get to, right?
Exactly, and what I say, if you're really into wine, go on the website to the Court of Master Sommeliers. You can get the introductory sommelier course. It's about $500, but I tell you, if you really like wine, it's well worth to actually sit down and taste with masters. It's priceless. You know, that old MasterCard commercial where they said, this is this. Tasting with a master sommelier is priceless, and you learn so much. But, you know, as I said, we're talking about our grid that we use, and it's determined what kind of wine it is, but also there's so much more involved. And every advanced master, we do this every time we taste wine, and it becomes just secondary to us because that's what we do every day. It's part of our life, and we don't even, we set up our own grid. And what I do suggest, because people, they have the grid online, you don't have to follow it verbatim. If you have your own ways, as long as you hit every box, if you want to do that first or this first or whatever, by all means, what you get off the wine is what I go first. If something's jumping off at me, that's what I say first, But you got to remember to hit every box. And most people just have it down to a science where they just do the same thing through every tasting. But I'm a little different. I like to taste it, and what comes up to me first is what I say. But you got to just keep following the grid, and you can determine what wine it is, how the wine is. Is it a Grand Cru? Is it Premier Krug? Is it a $2 Chuck? Is it the finest Napa Valley Reds? If you follow this grid, you can determine that. Now, we just briefly went over the site, and we talked about it last segment as well. But the nose is very important because you get more up. The nose is much more sensitive than the palate. People like to just go ahead and taste it and try to tell what it is. You get much more. There's more sensors in your nose than it is in the palate, and you get much more off the nose. Basically, when you go to your palate, you're just confirming what you got on your nose because the nose is much more sensitive. And as I said, you start with flawed. Make sure the wine is not flawed at all. The intensity, which you get off the nose, is it elegant, delicate? Is it moderate, or is it very powerful wine? You do an age assessment here as well, okay? Is it just big, bright fruit, very young fruit coming at you, or do you actually get some vinosity on the wine? And as I say, this could be a whole segment about talking about vinosity, but if you ever smelled an old wine, you would know what I'm talking about. And we want to conclude this whole tasting, so we'll go on from that. Now, basically, we were just talking about the site, the top of the nose, where you're kind of seeing where the wine's from and so forth. Now we're going to determine what varietal it is, and we look at the fruit profile, okay? You got your primary profile and your secondary fruits, like if you're getting like apple pear, if it's more yellow, straw yellow or brown, you have a heavier mouthfeel, you go in Chardonnay bean, little Chardonnay. If it's light, bright acid, apple pear, you definitely go like German Rieslings. If you get like Fruit Loops, you're doing New World Viognier. If you get white peach, you'd be doing Old World Viognier. Certain fruit profiles go with certain varietals. Grapefruit, passion fruit, it'd be either New World Sauvignon Blanc, Australian Sauvignon Blanc. It all depends what fruit profile is coming off that you can really determine what varietal it is.
So,
now
John, let me interrupt you for a second, John. So when you're talking about all these different fruit profiles and all these different things going on, this is something that you can only learn by tasting and smelling the aromas and doing those things. It's not somebody can't teach you that without you actually tasting it and smelling it, right?
Well, no. I mean, you have a spectre reel. Where, I mean, it's this wheel that gives different fruits and so forth and kind of enlightens you what varietals give that fruit profile. But you have to basically is just taste a lot of wines, and you understand. Now, you can also buy a kit, and what the kit is, it gives you all the aromas in a little vial, basically. And you just open up the vial and you smell it, and you get those aromas. You know, somebody says something like leche. A lot of people have never had leche nuts, and they don't know what that is, which is a big detector for a Gewürztraminer. And you get this vial, and all of a sudden you smell, and they go, oh, yeah. And you smell a Gewürztraminer, and you go, I get it. They're about $300, but it's a big box with about, I would say, 100 and some different actual combinations in there.
So, John, once you open the bottle, do you lose that smell, or does it stay there for a while?
It's like a bottle of perfume, basically. You just close it up, and every time you open up, you still get the same smell on it. And it could be banana, apple. If you never heard of a detector, and they have it in this box here, Okay. Actually, Robert Mondavi used to have, I don't think they're open anymore, but it was a tasting center in Costa Mesa, and they used to put stuff with water. So they used to put like new oak in water, so you can smell what new American oak is, what French oak is, and what they put like an apple essence in water. They put vanilla in water. They put different little detectors in water, so you see what if somebody says I get vanilla in this. Well, what is vanilla? That's when you smell it. Oh yeah, I smell that in the wine. And you can buy these boxes online too, as well, if you're really interested in it. And we can talk later about that. But back to our grid. After you get done with the fruit, you want to do the non-fruit aromas, like flowers, spice, herb. But try this. Is there noble rot on this wine, which is a big detector, and of course other aromas. And also you go to the earth aromas, like mineral, chalk. If you get in chalk, like a white wine with chalkiness, flakiness, that's going to bring me right to Chablis, right? Minerals like slate will bring me to German Rieslings. There's so many different detectors. You get dust, mushroom, barnyard, musty. We've had so many Bordeaux together, Bob. Bordeaux, once you put a Bordeaux, you just go, it's Bordeaux. It has its own aroma, that you got cedar box, you got mushrooms, you got all these things coming out on Bordeaux, and it's its own aroma. Like Southern Rhone, the soil type in Southern Rhone, these rocky soils, and you get this roasted fruit with this rocky soil. And once I smell that, it's either Rhone or Spain. There's so many different detectors, and I said we can spend a whole segment on each one of these detectors, and we're just going to kind of recap it tonight, though. The next thing you want to do on a nose, Bob, is wood. Okay? Is it old? Is it new? Is it French or American? Is it large barrels or small barrels? Now, just in a nutshell, between American and French oak, there's Hungarian oak, there's other oaks too, but mostly it's American and French. The difference how you tell is that French oak, you want to get that sweet vanilla, but you want to get bacon spices like nutmeg, cloves, cinnamon. With American oak, you get that sawdust, like you just salt a board of wood, and you also get that dill as well. And it's usually a sweeter vanilla coming off with American oak. And that's how you tell the difference. And and it's harder now because it was French oak here, American oak here, like with Rioja. If it's old world and you get in this American oak and you have that roasted red fruit, you're going to go Rioja. But now there's Riojas using French oak. There's a lot of American producers using French oak, and now there's actually a lot of French producers using American oak. So it's all over the board now. It's a lot harder to determine. But if they're testing you in the Quartermaster Sommelier, they're going to give you a classic varietal. So it will be that when you're determining. Now, quickly, we'll start the palate. We'll finish with the palate and the conclusions. But as I mentioned, the palate, you're basically confirming what you got on the nose. But there's a couple of things you can't do on the nose, and that, of course, is sweetness. Is it dry? Is it bone dry? Is it sweet? Is it very sweet? That will tell you how much residual sugar is in the wine and where the wine is from as well. Okay? Also the body. Is it light, medium, full body? It tells you the climate, where it's from, and so forth. Now, when we get to the fruit, Bob, you're basically just confirming what you said on the nose. It's going to be on the palate because you have more detectors in the nose than you do on your palate. You may pick up something, but 90% of the time you're just confirming something else that's on the nose. What fruits you get on the nose. You may pick up something else on the palate that you really didn't get on the nose, but you're basically confirming. But the one thing you can do on the palate is the mouthfeel. Is it rounder? Is it light? And that's also important. That's going to tell you where you're from. Viognier, rounder mouthfeel. It's a heavier wine. Riesling's very light. There's lighter acid, heavy acid, lighter alcohol. It basically you're just doing the funnel process, deleting everything you go to. So it's basically a process of elimination is what you're doing. So you get to the fruit profile. Okay, you're confirming what you got in your nose. Was it apple, pear? If it was white, was it cherries, black cherries, whatever you're confirming on the nose. Same thing with the earth. Okay, was it minerals? Was it chalk? Was it stone? Was it dust? Was it mushrooms? You're basically confirming what you got on the nose. The same thing with the wood. You're tasting that. You're getting the bacon spices, or you're getting the sweet vanilla and sawdust and dill. That's what you're confirming on the nose. Okay, now on the palate, which you can't get on the nose, okay, tannins. And that is very important because some wines are very tannic, some wines ain't. You still have wood tannins, and you do have grape tannins as well. And as I said, we can talk a whole show on each individual item we're pulling up here. But on tannins, is it low tannins? Is it high tannins? High tannin wines like Barolos. A lot of the Italian wines have high tannins. Cabernets usually have higher tannins and so forth.
John, is that a matter? Is it when you're talking about that and you say Italian wines and things like that? Is it because that is the taste of the region? That's what the people really enjoy the most?
Well, it's the varietal. Some varietals are more tannic than others, and as I say, you do also get wood tannins as well. But a lot of certain varietals are very tannic, where certain varietals ain't. So that you're basically confirming what you had on the sight, the nose, and as I said, it's a process of elimination. So you're basically thinking what you got on the sight, on the nose, and you're just deleting wines. Okay, this is high tannic, so it's not going to be this or that. And so you basically, by the time you get to initial conclusion, you only have it down to probably a handful of possible varietals. And you kind of have it down of it's old world, new world, is it a warm climate or cool climate, and that's the process. But on the palate, as I said, there's about 5 things you get on the palate that you really can't get on the nose, and one is tannins. You can't smell tannins. And just to pay homage to the Master Sommelier at Windows of the World at the World Trade Center before 9/11, his description of tannins was, if you were hungover the night before, you got up and you had an aspirin, and you put the aspirin in your mouth and you couldn't find any water. What does that taste? That's the best description of tannins I've ever heard of. It is a good descriptor. It's that bitter taste that you get off some of the wines, which is not a bad thing, by the way. But what can you say? Alcohol. Now you can pick up a little alcohol in the nose when you actually nose the glass and it kind of burns. You're going to say, man, there's high alcohol in here. But you will definitely pick it up on the palate, Bob. And we'll finish the palate and then the initial conclusion and final conclusion on the third segment, and we'll definitely do the wine picks of the week.
And we're talking, well, John, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but there is no third segment anymore.
Are you kidding?
No.
We already go through 3?
You just spent a whole half hour talking about wine.
Okay, well, do you want me to just put everything in a nutshell quickly?
Do it quick.
Okay. So basically what you do, you do the acidity on the wine too, which you really can't pick up in the nose, and also the finish. Is there a long finish, short finish? That's going to tell the quality of the wine. The complexity too will tell you if it's the quality of the wine. And basically you just go to an initial conclusion. Is it old world, new world? What kind of climate it is? Is it cold, moderate, warm? You put a varietal, you put about 3 or 4 different grape varietals it can possibly be, and what age range, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 years or more, and then you go to your final conclusion, and you mention what grape it is, what country it's from, what region it's from, what quality it is it Grand Cru, Premier Cru, and what vintage it is, and that's how we taste. But Bob, just to end the show, let's do our good friends, Sonia and John from Alpha Omega. I tried the rosé, the Alpha Omega rosé, and I tell you, amazing rosé. Sandra has it as a wine shop. It's about $20-some a bottle. It's outstanding. And I don't know if you remember when we had John Hilfiger.
I sure do.
From Alpha Omega. We had the young lady that mispronounced his last name call in that day. It is Hilfiger. And great winemaker, learned in France, and I tell you, Alpha Omega, one of the great wines up there in Napa Valley. They make a great rosé and not too pricey, and you can get it at Sandra's wine shop there in downtown Anaheim. Go grab a bottle. You will enjoy it.
Sounds good. Hey, John, another great segment. I appreciate you being on here with Joey and I today.
Well, it was a pleasure. Great talk to both of you. And, Joe, I know you don't know too much about wine, but you know just about everything else. And I'm sure once you get 21, you'll be telling me what about wine.
Probably not.
I think you will.
All right. Hey, good buddy. Have a great evening. I'll talk to you before Monday, but let's plan on Monday.
Okay, just let me know.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye. Take care.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:42 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 90 degrees, gone down one since the last time I told you that, here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know, today's July 13th. You know what that is? That means something special to some people. Yeah, it's somebody's birthday. All right, now here's somebody that you've all heard of at one time or another. He was born in the year 100. Yep, he was a dictator of the Roman Republic, and he died in 44 B.C. We're talking about Julius Caesar. Yep. And then here's a guy that a lot of us knew. My buddy Joey, my co-host here today, probably never heard of this guy. He was born in 1928, died. He was clubbed to death in a motel room in 1978. He's an American actor. Bob Crane. It was his birthday. And here's somebody else that everybody knows. Born in 1928, died in 1978. Another American actor. Born in 1942. Hasn't died at all yet, but he was an American actor. And somebody everybody knows, Harrison Ford. Happy birthday, Harrison. And then finally, here's a guy that, boy, he was a great, great actor. He was born in 1988. Was a movie actor nicknamed the King of Cool. Happy birthday to Stephen McQueen. Well, you know what? What happened today in history? This is, Joey, you like history. You'll see some of this stuff you're going to enjoy. First of all, in 1923, the Hollywood sign is officially dedicated in the hills. It originally reads Hollywoodland, but the four last letters are dropped after renovation in 1949. It was Hollywoodland before it was just Hollywood. And in 1973, the existence of the Nixon tapes is revealed to the Special Senate Committee investigating the Watergate break-in. If he had just burned those things, destroyed those things, he probably would have been able to finish his presidency. In spite of all of that, and in spite of all the embarrassment and having to resign, he probably is one of our greatest presidents. And in 1985, the Live Aid benefit concert takes place for the first time. And then I'll tell you what, the quote for today comes from Joey's best friend, Aristotle. And Aristotle said, "Happiness depends upon ourselves." You know what? You've heard me talk about it. Happiness is always, it's all about a positive mental attitude. The secret daily teachings for your life, that's what it's all about, a positive mental attitude. You control the way you feel. When you get up in the morning, if you tell yourself you're going to have a great day, you will. If you tell yourself you're going to be successful, you will. If you tell yourself you're going to be with only people that you enjoy, you will. Now, the teaching for today is this. If you have trouble visualizing, just feel what you want. Feeling is equally powerful. Whether you feel it or imagine it in pictures, both are creating. You'll know which one works best for you by how you feel. Feeling good is the key to creation. I'm telling you, folks, this stuff works. It's all about a positive mental attitude. If you're positive that you're going to have a lousy day, you're going to get what you're asking for. But if you're positive you're going to have a good day, you'll get that too. Well, let's talk about the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the management tip today is a breathing exercise can help you refocus. In order to get work done and perform well, we need to be able to fully concentrate. Anxiety and stress diminish our ability to focus, and in high-pressure environments or even periods of change, it can be difficult to get these under control. You need to find a way to ignore the stress and get into a calm state so you can achieve your goals. Here's a simple method for staying calm under stress. Every morning, before you go to work, carve out time to simply focus on your breath. Perhaps a 10 or 20-minute session. Whenever your mind starts to wander, maybe you find yourself thinking, what am I going to do about something? Just let that go and refocus on your breath. This sharpens attention and calms the mind. The key is to practice routinely so it gets easier to achieve a state of calm and concentration. Now, sound ridiculous? Nah, it's really not. These things really, really work. I've got Joey sitting 2 feet across from me here, and he's focusing on his breath right now. Poor guy's choking because he knows we're getting ready to focus on him. So we'll see what happens with that. But you know what? Now we're at one of my favorite parts of the show. Can you guess? Sure. Those interesting but useless facts. That's where we're at right now, and that's what we're going to be dealing with. So you know what? Why don't we just get right to it? We will have 4 consecutive full moons, making 2 blue moons in 1999, January the 2nd and the 31st, March the 2nd and the 31st. The only other time it happened this century was in 1915. That was January the 1st and the 31st, March the 1st and the 31st. You know what? Who the hell cares? Do you care about that?
I mean, it's an interesting but useless fact.
Yep, that's exactly right. You're good, Joey. All right, here's the deal. Did you know that a woodchuck only breathes 10 times during hibernation? 10 times during the entire hibernation period.
And I want to learn more about that one.
A woodchuck.
That
A woodchuck
sounds-
would chuck if a woodchuck could chuck. What? That's what. Well, I forget that. Anyway, did you know that months that begin on a Sunday will always, always, always have a Friday the 13th?
Good to know, because I keep track of those on the calendar.
Do you keep track of Friday the 13th?
Yeah, I
Are
mean,
you superstitious, Joey?
I'm not superstitious. It's just interesting to have one where you go to school and you tell your friends it's Friday the 13th.
There you go. Okay, did you know that average calories burned daily by the sled dogs running the Alaska annual Iditarod race? Do you know how much they burn a day?
I don't, but I did study the Iditarod for a while.
10,000 calories a day by running the Iditarod. How about this? The LL in LL Bean stands for Leon Leonwood. Who cares? You ever wonder about people that actually put this stuff together? They got to get a life. Some of this stuff is stupid. Here's one. The first recorded occurrence of a tornado was June the 10th, 1682. That doesn't mean it was the first one that happened. That was just the first recording of one.
Yeah. I'm sure that they happened long before that.
Did you know that, you know what pi is?
Yeah, I know what pi is.
Okay. Pi has been calculated to over 2,260,321,363 digits.
Not memorizing all those.
I'm not either. 3.14 works for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know that all the chemicals in the human body combined are worth about €6.25? I'm sorry, 625 euros if sold separately. So that's about $7. You're only worth about $7, Joe. Except to me, you're invaluable.
$7.
$7, yeah. Okay, here's one. The first couple to be shown in bed together on primetime TV were Fred and Wilma Flintstone.
The Flintstones?
Yeah, the first time, because, you know, they had the...
Yeah, they had the censorship.
Yeah, weirdos. You know, the average life expectancy of geese is 25 years. Hopefully you put them on the table and you roast them before then, right? Here's one. I don't want that one. How about Connecticut and Rhode Island never ratified the 18th Amendment? You know what the 18th Amendment is?
The 18th Amendment was prohibition, right?
You little squirt. How do you know that?
I studied the 20s for a while.
Well, you're right. That's what it was.
What states again?
You amaze me. It was Rhode Island and Connecticut.
Must have been no mafia there then.
You know, it takes up to 4 hours to hard boil an ostrich egg.
4 hours.
Yeah, they're big.
Well, I've seen them before. I've never had one.
Yeah, I've had one. I've had them scrambled. I don't think I'd eat one sunny side up. You know, did you know that David Sarnoff received the Titanic's distress signal and saved hundreds of passengers? He later became the head of the first radio network, the National Broadcasting Company, NBC. Yeah. And you know what? Let's make this one the last one because I want to talk to you anyway. Okay. So, did you know that the Earth spins beneath you at between 1,000 and 1,600 kilometers an hour, depending on where you are, at the top, the middle, or the bottom? Let's do one more.
Interesting.
Let's do one more. I don't want to do that one. Hey, an eagle can attack, kill, and carry away an animal as large as a small deer.
That doesn't surprise me. They're pretty big anyway.
Yeah, they are. That's pretty good. And then I'm going to leave it with 10% of us would switch tags in the store to pay less for an item. It's crazy, right?
10%.
That's cheating. That's stealing.
I want to see the statistics that poll was taken from.
Yeah, I think that's just cheating. Well, you know what? I've got something really important to do, so let me just do this the right way. Let me get this thing cooking here. Now, I want to spend the last 5 minutes on this show talking to my co-host, my grandson, Joey, and I don't want to be interrupted by commercials or anything else, and so that's what that was all about. I am so thrilled, Joey, that you're spending today with me here in the studio that I can't even begin to tell you, because it's been a long time since you've been in the studio with me.
It has been, and I'm glad to be back.
Well, I'm glad you are back. Now, you just got back from Hawaii for your birthday. You celebrated your 12th birthday in Hawaii, the 4th of July. And you did something that, matter of fact, you've done it as often as I have now. You've done it 3 or 4 times.
3 times.
And my grandson went scuba diving. Now, he's 12 and he's gone for the 3rd or 4th time. So you can imagine how old he was when he went the first time. Now, his dad won't go scuba diving. He's not that comfortable in the water. His mother isn't going to go scuba diving because she's not that comfortable in the water. And his brother's only 7. He'd probably go, but they're not going to let him be that comfortable in the water. But Joey has aspirations of actually getting certified. Now, what's entailed in that, Joe?
Well, certification, it allows you to do more things in the water. Well, first of all, you don't have to go out with an instructor, and you don't have to do lessons. You don't have to do the closed water lessons in a pool. But going out with an instructor is something that you should always do for safety, no matter, what the age. But the things you can do if you're certified are numerous. You can go out on a water scooter. You could go out you could go out on different types of dives, deep water dives. If you're 15 or older, you can do wreck dives. But there are certain types of certification that I wanted to talk about. Even though I'm not certified, I know quite a bit about becoming certified and things you can do while being certified. Now, one of the things you can do is wreck dives, and that's pretty much down there. But some of the things you can do is you can go down over 100 feet while diving, and you can see some pretty cool stuff beneath where most of the sun shines. You can go down, and even while I was scuba diving, and I don't go down very far, I go down 30 feet at the most. And even then, you can see coral reefs, fish. We saw eels and Hawaii state fish, which is a mouthful, but the humu humu naka naka apuaha.
The what?
The humu humu naka naka apuaha.
Did you eat it?
No.
Is it big?
No, it's
about 3 inches.
It's about 3 inches long, yeah. But it's a beautiful fish. It's dotted, and you see the square fish, which actually its skull is the shape of a square.
Really?
I didn't get a really good look at one, but our instructor was telling us it's the shape of a square.
So here's because we've only got a couple minutes left, Joey. What do you have to do to get certified?
Well, if you are interested in becoming certified, then you can go to the PADI website, and it's an acronym, PADI. And you can take the e-learning course, which is studying and quizzes, basically about safety and not touching the animals, and basically the basics. And then you have to go to a local PADI dive shop, and you can do pool work. And when you're doing pool work, they teach you how to use the equipment, and they teach you how to clear your ears and your air spaces and some of the dangers of scuba diving.
And the safety.
The safety, yes, basically the safety. Then you do your first open water dive, which is technically part of the certification course. So if you handle yourself well in the open water dive, then you can get PADI and scuba certified.
Well, Joey, unfortunately, that's the end of our time. I want to thank you so much for being on the show with me today. It's just always a joy to be with you.
Well, you're welcome. It's always fun coming on the show.
All right, and I want to thank you for listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. Robert Cardoza Live broadcasts on Spreaker Radio, Blog Talk Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. I also broadcast on Roar 1776 Radio and on Live 365 Radio every Friday afternoon from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com and email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. That's where I get the emails I deal with here on the show. And on my next show, my expert contributor is going to be Suzette Mailer with her IFAB Travel Corner, and my special guest, Sean Lefebvre, is going to be talking healthcare in his Geared for Wellness Corner. I encourage you to tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then, when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.
Okay, everybody, go out and make it a great day. Stay safe, be happy. Joey, I love you, and good night, everybody.
Good night.